Hello students, you are welcome in the Economic IAS YouTube channel. As I am going to discuss with you current updates regarding fiscal policy, fiscal discipline. And today I will discuss some specific areas of central government finance so that you can understand how the fiscal policy is a key anchor of macroeconomic stability and confidence. Actually, this macroeconomic stability and confidence come in our economy because of fiscal policies. Basically, it covers the tax reforms, tax revenues, as well as expenditure, structure of expenditure. As in my previous lecture, I discussed certain point regarding this topic, and today I will further proceed the central government manage or finance. As you know, our economic growth, our economic stability depends on aggregate demand and supply. If you think our aggregate supply depends on government expenditure policy, as in my previous lecture, I have discussed with you that Government of India reduced the revenue expenditure, increased the capital expenditure during last previous year's budgets. That's why our aggregate supply, due to more profitable conditions in the market, due to crowding in effect, means private sector investment are motivated by the government by creating profitable conditions in the market on both demand and supply side. In supply side, by creating good quality infrastructure, by investing round about 12.2 lakh crore rupees on capital expenditure, that is the infrastructure development of the economy, as well as demand is increasing by the rationalization of both direct and indirect taxes. In case of direct taxes, I discussed primarily personal income tax and corporation tax, and in indirect taxes you can see central excise duties, because I am talking about central government finance as well as custom duty. Today I will further elaborate these topics because this is needed for you to understand how the macroeconomic stability and growth rate pushed by the fiscal policy measures in your civil service, preliminary, mains, etc. In different state level civil service examinations, they are asking how fiscal policy achieves the twin contradictory objectives, that is inflation or price and price stability with high growth. Actually, when our public expenditure is going to be increased and the tax rate is not adjusted, that can increase the inflation in the economy with high growth rate. But we have to achieve the price stability with high growth rate, and recent fiscal policy of the government of India is successfully achieving these things by the help of certain data. I will discuss this point. Be careful, listen this lecture very carefully. Definitely it will boost up your knowledge if you are going to take it seriously. And if you are the superficial candidate, you can't understand this language, this topic. For the better understanding, you have to come in basic economics classes, online classes. As I am going to introduce my online classes also, you can contact me 9999237051, my mobile number. Okay students, now I started this macroeconomic stability and balancing growth rate imperative with the fiscal sustainability. You know, non-corporation tax collections, that is, so the strong performance non-corporate tax collection, which was only 2.4% of GDP, non-corporate tax collection before pandemic, it was 2.4% of GDP. I will also explain what is the rationality of it. And in post-pandemic, it increased. Post-pandemic, as you know, this is 2022 to 2025, it increased up to 3.3% of GDP. It further improved 3.7% of GDP during 2026. What is the rationality? If our non-corporate tax revenue is increasing, what does it mean? It means our government revenue receipts are increasing, which can be utilized, and the government is utilizing these revenue for the more capital expenditure rather than public expenditure. In absolute term, in recent budget, it is allocated 12.2 lakh crore rupees. In GDP term, it increased from 1.7% of GDP to 3.7% of GDP. This momentum is because of tax buoyancy. What do you mean by tax buoyancy? Generally, if you like to know this term, you should go my previous lecture on YouTube channel, The Economic IAS. You will see what is the meaning of tax buoyancy. The non-corporate tax buoyancy during 2023, it increased up to 1.8. 1.8. That is the tax buoyancy. Non-corporate tax buoyancy. What does it mean? If our GDP increase, say 10%, then our non-corporate tax will increase 18%. And this question is asked by UPSC in preliminary previous year 2 times. It means somewhere you have to understand this tax buoyancy. And second point, what is the improvement in this one? That is also supported by the expansion of tax base. Means our tax base, number of taxpayers, that is also increasing consistently here. Also increasing consistently, as it was only 6.9 crore in post-pandemic period, 9.6 crore. Oh, 6.9 crore. That is wrong. 6.9 crore during financial year 2022, and it reached up to 9.2 crore financial year 2025. Means this tax buoyancy as well as increasing tax base of non-corporate tax both are responsible for huge tax collection that increased from 2.4% of GDP to 3.7% of GDP after COVID problem. That kinds of achievements of the government of India is reflected because of multiple policy reforms, like if I say wider use of technologies, tax administration improvement, and there are so many other reforms done by the government. In case of tax reform, corporate tax collection. Now you think priorly I discussed non-corporate. Now I will discuss the corporate tax collection. Corporate tax collection tax buoyancy also increased up to 1, means nearby. Corporate tax buoyancy. This is very important. It increased up to 1. It means if our GDP increases 10%, then corporate tax revenue also increased by 10%. This is the meaning of tax buoyancy in case of corporate tax. Second point which you have to understand, that the number of profits of the corporate houses, that is corporate profit as a study or data given by Reserve Bank of India. Why this tax buoyancy is increasing? Because of Government of India tax policy. I will further discuss with you that custom duty are decreasing, imported raw material price are decreasing because of decreasing custom duty. Central excise duty means when you produce certain goods, you have to pay less tax on behalf of tax reform by the government. Both tax reduction are motivating the corporate houses or industries to produce more, and that is why their profit margins also increase. If I give you the RBI data, RBI giving the data that registered corporate houses profit increase from, I am talking profit increase from 2.5 trillion rupees, 2.5 trillion rupees in 2021 to 7.1 trillion rupees in 2025. That is rupees 7.1 trillion in 2025. This is the profit rate of corporate houses, because of which one? Central excise duty reduction, as well as corporate rate reduction, as well as this custom duty reduction. I will also give the data. Because of this increasing profitability, if you consider income tax collection year on year growth rate and corporate tax collections year on year growth rate, in personal income tax during the period of reflecting the various tax concessions during present time, our personal income tax in recently increasing year by year, say 6.8% per year, and corporation tax collection 7.8%. This is personal income tax collection growth rate 6.8% year on year, and in case of corporate houses or corporation tax that increased by year on year 7.8%. What does it means? Means our both taxes are increasing sharply, income tax as well as our corporation tax. Our government make multiple reform in personal income tax. If I like to quote you, non-taxpayer, if their income is up to 12 lakh, their tax will be zero. What does it mean? Increase in exemptions in stock tax by increasing disposable income, increase the demand of corporate produce, one side. Second point, after consuming durable goods, they will save some money, which priorly they are paid to the government in the form of tax. Now they are saved and invest in corporate houses. That will boost up both investment one side, or you can say aggregate supply one side, aggregate demand other side. The taxpayer, if their income is up to 12.75 lakh, they are not needed to pay any kinds of tax. Tax slab also changed. If the income is more than this one, 0 to 4, tax is 0. Tax liability is 0. 4 to 8, tax liability 5%. 4 to 8 to 12 lakh, tax liability is 10%. 12 to 16 lakh, tax liability 15%. 16 to 20 lakh, tax liability 20%. 20 to 24 lakh, tax liability 25%. More than 24 lakh, tax liability 30% flat rate. That kinds of slab structural reform in our direct taxes also responsible for increasing our personal income tax revenue. As I told you, it was 2.4 to increase up to 3.7%. That kinds of change take place in recent year in our economy. If I say that excise and custom duty, what kinds of change in excise and custom duty? If you go through our excise duty collection, which was 1.7% of GDP, pre-pandemic period, excise duty means tax on the production of commodity by the central government. As you know, in our tax distribution, union government has central excise duty, custom duty, personal income tax. These are the major tax, and more violent, more elastic, more high tax base, as you are seeing, that is increasing consistently. And if I give you the excise duty data, excise duty, it was 1.7% of GDP pre-pandemic period. Pre-pandemic. And after then in 2022, it reduced up to 0.8% of GDP. If our excise duty is reducing, what the meaning of it? It means profit margin of the corporate sector will increasing. Other side, government capital or expenditure are developing good quality infrastructure. Their profit margin is increasing. Disposable income of the society is increasing. These three factors, realize yourself how they are going to extend the demand of these products and growth rate of the economy automatically boost up. Similarly, if you think about the tax buoyancy of excise duty, which is very less, 0.4%. Tax buoyancy of this excise duty, 0.4%, that is also going to affect the all over the economy. Similarly, excise duty collection, if I give you the data, excise duty collection year by year, that is 9.3% per year. The growth rate of excise duty collection 9.3% year on year basis, and the custom duty collection, it was 7.3% year on year basis. Custom duty means tariff. The government imposed the tariff on imported raw material, etc. The last and very important, second last or last tax, that is GST, goods and service tax. You know, government imposed July 2017 midnight, 1st July 2017, that is goods and service tax or GST. I would like to share something. What the effect of GST? Formalization of economy, stabilization of economy. Government revenue consistently increasing since we implemented this GST, and this is reinforcing the government reforms and further increase the tax revenue collections. If I give you the data, April to December 2025, GST collection was 17.4 lakh crore rupees. 17.4 lakh crore rupees. Jan to April, it was 22 lakh crore rupees. It means laterally it decreased because of rationalization, reduction in the GST tax rate, that also enhanced the average disposable income of the society, and in this way the growth rate. Further major reform, e-way bill in place of check post at different border of state government started e-way bill and link it mobile. In this way minimize the time of wastage time at the check post and cover all the taxpayer, because goods which are logged in a particular vehicle, they can surveillance with the help of mobile. That kinds of facility or technological change also enhancing the growth rate by minimizing the tax, by minimizing the wastage of time in the collection of GST. Now, this is the major reform done by the government under tax, and in coming lecture I will discuss the non-tax reforms done by the government in recent year. What are the major constituents of non-tax reform? and how they are going to create the stability in our fiscal area and high growth rate in our economy. Thank you, students.